A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Wait, hold on a minute. How about a little recap of the relevant Star Wars lore before Ahsoka hits Disney+? George Lucas and Dave Filoni created Ahsoka Tano to act as the previously unmentioned apprentice Anakin Skywalker took on during the Clone Wars. Debuting in the 2008 animated movie Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Ahsoka is 14 years old upon her introduction. She is one of the Togruta species from the planet Chili, and certainly not to be confused with the physically similar Twi'leks. As a child, Ahsoka demonstrated a strong connection to the Force, leading to her recruitment into the Jedi Order. As Ahsoka continues training with Anakin throughout the Clone Wars, the older Jedi Knight gains a degree of compassion and wisdom from his masterly responsibilities. In the episode of the Clone Wars series, Storm of the Ryloth, Ahsoka disobeys Anakin's orders during an attack on a Separatist blockade, resulting in her squadron suffering steep casualties. This event both matures and traumatizes the young Ahsoka, who begins to change her reckless ways. From that point, Ahsoka goes on to become a hero of the Republic, fighting in many of the Clone Wars' most pivotal battles. At another point during the war, Ahsoka becomes embroiled in a power struggle on Mandalore. Ahsoka's impact on the planet proves how much she has grown as a competent, self-sufficient warrior, one who is able to lead the war effort without Anakin by her side. It also forges a crucial connection to Mandalorian society, one that would pay off later in life. Despite her strong connection with the Force, Ahsoka departs the Jedi Order before the end of the Clone Wars. Season 5 of the Clone Wars revolves around a terrorist bombing in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Ahsoka is subsequently accused of murdering the prime suspect. Hunted by both the Jedi and Republic authorities, Ahsoka attempts to meet with shady figures in the Coruscant underworld in order to clear her name, only to be apprehended. As Anakin continues his own independent investigation into the terrorist attack, the Jedi Order formally expels Ahsoka. Anakin tracks down the true culprit, traitorous Jedi Knight Barriss Offee, and gets her to confess to both the bombing and murder. Though absolved of all wrongdoing in the wake of Barriss's arrest, Ahsoka's faith in the Jedi Order remains shaken to its core. Ahsoka turns down the chance to be reinstated into the Order and decides to go her own way instead, much to Anakin's dismay.
I know you believe in me, Anakin, and I'm grateful for that. But this isn't about you.
Ahsoka briefly retires from her role in the war and tries to live quietly on Coruscant, although trouble soon finds her once more. Falling in with a group of low-level criminals on Coruscant, Ahsoka crosses paths with the Pike Syndicate, a nefarious organization linked to Darth Maul. In the chaos of the Clone Wars, Maul seizes control of Mandalore, displacing its rightful ruler, Bo-Katan Kryze. Allying herself with Bo-Katan, Ahsoka receives help from Rex to overthrow Maul. This all happens about the same time that Anakin and Obi-Wan are rescuing Chancellor Palpatine from Count Dooku and the Separatists. After a fierce duel, Ahsoka defeats Maul and takes him into custody, escorting him with a detachment of clone troopers back to Coruscant. En route to Coruscant, Ahsoka senses Anakin has fallen to the dark side, moments before Palpatine enacts Order 66. This activates latent programming within all clone troopers, including Rex, prompting them to turn on their Jedi comrades. While Ahsoka removes an inhibitor chip in Rex to bring him back to his senses, Maul takes advantage of the confusion to escape from custody. As their transport ship crashes, Ahsoka and Rex flee for their lives and go into hiding from the newly risen Galactic Empire. The animated anthology series Star Wars Tales of the Jedi reveals more about Ahsoka's attempts to evade the reach of the Empire. Recalling her training under Anakin, Ahsoka manages to survive the Jedi Purge as the Empire and resurgent Sith hunt Jedi across the galaxy. Ahsoka visits Naboo incognito for the funeral of Senator Padme Amidala, where she reunites with Senator Bail Organa from Alderaan. Organa helps Ahsoka remain relatively safe in hiding, relocating her to the Outer Rim, right on the fringes of Imperial jurisdiction. For several years, Ahsoka lives on the remote planet Rada as part of an unassuming farming community. Ahsoka uses the alias Ashla and keeps her Force sensitivity a secret from the others, for fear of attracting unwanted attention. This precaution proves more than justified too. When Ahsoka instinctively uses the Force to save a girl during a farming accident, the girl's brother notices. Believing he will earn a reward, the boy betrays Ahsoka to the Empire by informing the authorities that a Jedi lives among them. Instead of paying the boy, a Sith Inquisitor raises his community and kills everybody in his path. Ahsoka returns to the community in time to defend a handful of survivors and kill the Inquisitor, knowing that this will expose herself to the Empire. After evacuating the survivors, Ahsoka flees from her rural refuge and becomes a fugitive of the Empire and Sith yet again. In 2012, Disney acquired Lucasfilm and decreed that all Star Wars Expanded Universe material would be considered non-canonical moving forward. This decision freed up subsequent projects to forge ahead, without being beholden to the continuity of decades of ancillary stories. The existing novels, video games, comic books, and other stories, separate from the films and television series, were officially rebranded as Legends. One of Disney's newer projects was the 2016 novel Ahsoka, written by E.K. Johnson from an outline by Dave Filoni. Years later, Tales of the Jedi made a few changes to Johnson's book, leading some fans to suggest that the original novel had been decanonized into a Legends story.
We're doomed.
The novel also establishes that Ahsoka survived Order 66 and lived in relative seclusion as a farmer for a time. Instead of befriending a girl, however, as she does in Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka strikes up a friendship with a woman close to her own age. The biggest deviation between the novel and the new continuity, however, concerns Ahsoka's first meeting with Organa after Order 66. The novel has them meet a year after the Empire's formation, while the series places this event much sooner, at Amidala's funeral. This streamlined canon helps enhance Ahsoka's role in Rebels and deepens her ties to the burgeoning Rebel Alliance. When Ahsoka and Organa reunited at Amidala's funeral, he gave her a comlink to contact him if she ever needed his help. Following her harrowing encounter with a Sith Inquisitor, Ahsoka makes good on that offer. Organa informs Ahsoka about his role in a growing insurrection against Palpatine and the Galactic Empire, prompting Ahsoka to finally emerge from her self-imposed exile. In the wake of Order 66, Ahsoka discarded one of her lightsabers in an attempt to fake her own death. Ahsoka constructs a replacement lightsaber after making contact with Organa, but decides to set aside the blue color of her old lightsabers. Meanwhile, Ahsoka's renewed partnership with Bail Organa makes her a key figure in the Alliance to restore the Republic, as the flames of rebellion continue to spread across the galaxy. Beginning approximately 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, Star Wars Rebels follows a scrappy group of scoundrels battling the Empire from their home base of Lothal. Streetwise orphan Ezra Bridger joins the crew of the Ghost and begins training under Jedi exile Kanan Jarrus. Ezra and Kanan's crewmate, Hera, coordinate their activities with a shadowy figure known simply as Fulcrum, who is providing supplies and information to the Ghost. Appearing only as a hooded figure during their hologram communications, neither Hera nor Kanan seem to particularly trust Fulcrum. After taking a public stand against Grand Moff Tarkin on Lothal, the Ghost crew rescues Kanan from a band of Sith Inquisitors. These incidents prove the group's loyalty to the Rebel Alliance's leadership, and they are soon welcomed deeper into the fold. Greeting the Ghost crew are Bail Organa and Fulcrum, who reveals herself to be none other than Ahsoka Tano. This meeting sparks Ahsoka's close partnership with the crew of the Ghost, including her particularly close connection to Ezra and Sabine Wren. And as for the Empire? Frustrated by his lackey's inability to hunt down Kanan and Ezra, Darth Vader decides to personally lead the hunt for the fugitive Jedi. Deducing the rebels' connection to Lothal, Vader wages a campaign of imperial brutality against the local populace in an effort to draw the rebels out.
The compassion of the rebels is a weakness, one we will exploit.
The Ghost flees the planet as Lothal turns against the Rebel Alliance, only to be pursued by Vader. The Sith Lord easily overcomes Ahsoka's band of rebels, and, in the process, discovers that his old apprentice survived Order 66. Through their brief Force connection during the skirmish, Ahsoka similarly learns that Vader, the galaxy's most infamous Sith Lord, is her old master. Vader, undeterred in his evil mission following his unhappy reunion with Ahsoka, immediately reports her survival to Palpatine. As Ahsoka moves to investigate more about Vader, the Sith mobilize additional Inquisitors to wipe out the Jedi. Ahsoka continues working with the Ghost crew, eventually reuniting with her old friend Rex after Ezra rescues him and a group of liberated clones. Alongside her ongoing role with the Rebellion, Ahsoka continues researching what exactly happened to turn Anakin into Vader. Her efforts are put on hold, however, when Ahsoka is forced to focus on stopping the Inquisitors from kidnapping Force-sensitive infants for Sith indoctrination. Though she grows close to Ezra, Ahsoka lies about Vader's identity to him, unwilling to share the painful truth about Anakin. Soon after, Master Yoda reveals to Ahsoka and the Ghost crew that he is alive. He then asks them to investigate the Sith planet Malachor. Their visit is derailed by Inquisitors hunting Darth Maul, who hides in the recesses of the planet's underground Sith temple. Initially working with the rebels against a common enemy, Maul inevitably turns against them and blinds Kanan before fleeing. Before Ahsoka can pursue the runaway Sith warrior, she finds herself face to face with Vader, who followed his Inquisitors to Malachor.
It was foretold that you would be here. Our long-awaited meeting has come at last.
Ahsoka finally acknowledges her old friend has fallen to the dark side and engages him in a duel. As Ezra and Kanan flee with a Sith holocron, Ahsoka buys them as much time as possible by holding off Vader. The intense showdown continues as the Sith temple crumbles around both Ahsoka and Vader. In the aftermath, Vader emerges from the collapsed temple, with Ahsoka's fate left ambiguous at that time, but the Ghost crew presumes her dead. Though shaken by Ahsoka's apparent demise, the crew hardens their resolve to continue the fight and follow her example as a rebel. Ezra trains diligently for the next 6 months, significantly improving his lightsaber handling and mastery of the Force. Among the more mysterious figures Ahsoka leaves behind is Morai, an owl companion with spiritual ties to a being from Mortis. Morai appears to the Ghost crew throughout Rebels, often at pivotal points in the show, reminding them of their connection to Ahsoka. 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, the Ghost takes point in the Rebellion's recruitment efforts around the galaxy. One of the most valuable gains made by the crew comes from infiltrating the Imperial Academy and encouraging disillusioned cadets to defect to their cause. This activity does not go unnoticed by the Empire, who lay several traps for the Ghost throughout the 3rd season of Rebels. More than a simple recruitment tool for the Rebel Alliance, the Ghost also destroys key military targets to impede the Imperial war machine. The harshest blow the Ghost scores against the Empire involves stealing top-secret plans for experimental TIE defenders. These formidable fighters boast the deadly speed of TIE fighters, but come equipped with their own shields. The Ghost's mission to destroy the TIE defenders puts them on a collision course with the Imperial Master Tactician, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
This is a perfect opportunity for a combat test.
1 year before the Battle of Yavin, the Ghost returns to their home on Lothal. In the years since their departure, the Imperial occupation has ravaged the local ecosystem and brutalized the local populace. Why the heightened Imperial presence on Lothal? The planet is being used for manufacturing TIE defenders, making it a valuable target for the rebellion. Frustrated by the devastation on Lothal, Hera leads a reckless attack on the Imperial factory. Thrawn's defenses repel the initial assault but incur heavy losses. Hera is captured and tortured for information on Lothal's capital, with Canon leading a rescue mission before her captors can break her and learn where the rebellion is based. During their escape, Canon uses the Force to protect his retreating friends, while destroying a vital Imperial fuel depot at the cost of his life. Losing the fuel depot effectively scuttles the TIE Defender production and challenges the Empire's authority on Lothal. Incensed by the rebellion's sidelining of his pet project, Thrawn decides to return to Lothal to take personal charge of the effort to root out the rebels. Following Kanan's demise, Ezra and his friends retreat to an underground Jedi temple on Lothal that holds a unique connection to the Force. Ezra learns this temple is home to a portal through space and time, which Palpatine intends to use to his advantage. Using this portal, Ezra traverses the world between worlds and travels back in time to Ahsoka's duel with Vader on Malachor. Ezra reaches out and pulls Ahsoka into the world between worlds, just before Vader can strike her down, saving her life and changing her fate. This happy reunion comes to an abrupt end when Palpatine attacks Ezra through the Force, having sensed that the World Between Worlds portal is open. Separated, Ahsoka is cast back into her timeline moments after the Sith Temple on Malachor crumbles and Vader departs. Ezra, thrown into his present timeline, seals the portal on Sabine's advice by destroying the Jedi Temple on Lothal. Through the Force, Ezra learns that Thrawn is en route to Lothal and quickly moves to defeat the Imperial garrison before his arrival. Thrawn counters this by threatening to bombard Lothal's capital unless the rebels surrender. Left with no other choice, Ezra agrees to his demands and turns himself in. Meanwhile, Ezra's allies activate Lothal's planetary shields, defending it from orbital bombardment, while Ezra summons Purrgil, a powerful spacefaring species, to attack Thrawn's armada. The Purrgil yank Thrawn's ship into hyperspace and carries them off to parts unknown. Ezra remains missing after the Battle of Endor 5 years later, even as his friends continue to hunt down the final remnants of the Empire. Though the Ghost crew separates in the final days of the war, Ahsoka and Sabine reunite to search for Ezra. After the Battle of Lothal, Hera gives birth to a son, Jacen, who was conceived with Kanan shortly before his death. The liberation of Lothal cost the rebels dearly, but nevertheless represents a significant victory for the rebellion. Ahsoka Tano resurfaces in the 2nd season of The Mandalorian, which marked her debut in a live-action Star Wars story.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Set approximately 5 years after the Battle of Endor, Ahsoka appears in the episode The Jedi, and it soon becomes clear that she is scouring the galaxy for Thrawn. Traveling to the planet Corvus, Ahsoka meets the wandering Mandalorian Din Djarin and his adopted Jedi child, Grogu. Communicating with Grogu through the Force, Ahsoka learns both his name and how he escaped the Jedi Temple during the Purge. Ahsoka refuses to take Grogu on as an apprentice and leaves him in Din's care. After driving out the Imperial forces with Din's help, Ahsoka advises him to take Grogu to the planet Tython to contact a mysterious Jedi using a beacon on the planet's temple. Ahsoka's memorable turn on The Mandalorian lays the foundation for her spin-off series and establishes her ongoing role in the post-war galaxy. Following the Battle of Endor, Luke Skywalker establishes a Jedi Academy on the planet Ossus, hoping to train a new generation of Jedi and restart the Jedi Order. It doesn't go well.
It's time for the Jedi to end.
Before all that, however, Ahsoka visits Ossus. The Book of Boba Fett reveals that she has been working with Luke for some time. When Din visits Grogu as the young Jedi trains under Luke, Ahsoka intercepts him and insists he not see Grogu to avoid emotionally compromising his training. Din agrees to this, and Ahsoka offers to give Grogu a custom-made Beskar chainmail vest on his behalf. Upon Din's departure, Luke confides in Ahsoka that he is unsure about Grogu's commitment to completing his training and devoting his life to the Jedi Code. Ahsoka compares this uncertainty to her own memories of Anakin's loyalties during the Clone Wars, before advising Luke to follow his instincts. This relatively brief appearance demonstrates not only how much Luke values Ahsoka's presence, but the growing trust between her and Din since their first meeting. It also places Ahsoka in a prominent role amidst the Jedi Order's attempt to rebuild after the Galactic Civil War. The Ahsoka series takes place sometime after the epilogue of Rebels, with Ahsoka and Sabine having since parted ways. Though the separation seems to have been bitter, they agree to work together again to stop Thrawn. Sabine and Ahsoka both visibly still miss Ezra and become reminded of their old friend's disappearance as Thrawn resurfaces with a formidable fleet and new Force-sensitive allies. With the Galactic Empire now replaced by the New Republic, Thrawn sets out to create a new empire with himself at its head. Morgan Elsbeth's presence in Ahsoka suggests that the series takes place after Ahsoka's appearances in The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett. Defeated on Corvus by Ahsoka in the second season of The Mandalorian, Morgan is an associate of Thrawn's, whom Ahsoka confronted for information. Morgan returns in Ahsoka, in which she stands ready not only to aid Thrawn's resurgence, but seek revenge on Ahsoka. Apart from these clues, however, not much is known about where Ahsoka will take the ex-Jedi, or how her story might finally end.